BDD. They were saving that. BDD will go for the Syndra, of course, into Twisted Fate. So we'll be looking to put on a bit of pressure there. Hefty amount of magic damage on the side of Gen G with the Rumble and the Syndra very upfront in your face. So can definitely expect some Merc Treads, especially with the Leona alongside of it. It'll be interesting to see how Kana does itemize.
I can't wait, because these are such volatile lanes, especially on top side.
Yeah.
Obviously, a Jace versus an Irelia is a powder keg. Whichever champion gets a lead early gets an immense amount of pressure in that lane. If there is comeback potential, it's more on the side of the Irelia. Once you have your ultimate available, maybe if you can get a rotation in. But then, think on the flip side. Yeah, it's nice that you might get pressure in that lane, Bertle, but can you also take into account Faker? Can you take into account Owner, who has been paying a lot of attention to this top side? Because Kana, especially on Jace, gets so much love and attention from the rest of his team, and enabled by that TF, that's going to be a rough one. At the same time, though, it's BDD on his trademark Syndra, but now a buffed variant. Right?
Yeah.
And CC is incredible, the skirmishing is insane, and the teamfight power with a Solar Flare, possible lockdown from the Xayah, as well as that Rumble ultimate. This should be fireworks. I've said that before with LCK draft,
Yeah.
so let's see what we're actually going to end up with.
I think we're in for a really fun game number one. Just right from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
I think Faker's TF has been pretty stellar this year. I think his ability to look for picks and where he does go for it, like his skill participation stat in round 2, you might look at that and be like, oh, well, I don't know about that. Like maybe he's not really playing around his teammates, but as Chronicler has been saying, he has been very crucial and actually improving in that facet specifically. So
I'd honestly blame that one just on carry. for like
too many kills in the bottom lane without
just doing
Faker.
Too much. Yeah, I'm like, and we joke, right? But I think in this scenario, it's obviously more akin to what the entirety of TWon is doing. But it is important to like think about, like, if your bot lane is gapping every single lane, they're getting all the kills, like your stats can look worse, right? And I don't think it's the case in this scenario, even though Carry and Guma are obviously an incredible bot lane. Carry in particular having a great split as per usual. Important to think about these stats in the context of the teams. As we see defensive rune choices here for Faker, as the bone plating as well as the unflinching, which into the amount of CC on Gen G's side is always going to be great. And BDD must be very happy that Syndra is now a legitimate champion again. Because she hasn't been for a while, and we still saw her picked up a little bit. But this is looking like good old Syndra.
Yeah, Syndra's back, and I think it'll start with the players that always used to play her all the time, and then more players will begin to pick her up as they realize the power. And you can see Faker's Twisted Fate, as I was mentioning, it's pretty insane. 14-4. And he just does so much. Not only with early ultimates that he's able to pick off, but also later on in the game. Once you get the rapid fire cannon and you're able to get that extra range, some of the picks that he has been able to pick up have been very nice.
And these are mostly older Irelia, pre-mini rework Irelia. And you'd expect the Jace to have a lot of pressure in this matchup for the first 3 levels. Once the stun becomes available, it obviously becomes a completely different equation. And this Xayah pick is the one thing that I'm not 100% sure about, because while I really appreciate the team fighting power that the pick has, it runs sometimes into similar problems that an Aphelios does, which is if opponents are not actually engaging on you, it can be hard to play the game. And into a Ezreal and a Jace, and this pokey style that TWon really like to go towards, it might be a little bit harder. Klid pathing towards bot side, so neither jungler are going to meet each other here early, which makes Bertle's life a little bit more uncomfortable, but should be able to pick up most of the wave here and just try and stay alive. Once he hits, as we were playing level 3, you get a little bit of pressure, and then post 6, it's a lot better as Faker is getting bullied in his mid lane.
Yeah, it's definitely really annoying early on against the Syndra. He is going to have to go for a back at an unfortunate time, although Owner was around. Again, this isn't a cannon wave, so Faker actually looks like he will stick around. This is something he does very often. Just goes for kind of like fake backs where he goes way off of the turret, shows that he's backed off, but actually he sticks around, and then the enemy mid laner is backing, so they decide not to cancel it, etc., etc. And then he's able to get a better back off of that. Doesn't miss too much of the wave. And immediately he's going to buy some more survivability. Probably a good idea.
I like
this matchup.
Yep. And Faker uses teleport, whereas BDD didn't. So BDD able to conserve his summoner there, which might lead to some good situations for them later on the map. Faker there using his minion dematerializer just to get a little bit more pressure on that wave so he can roam and place some vision. Now this isn't something that's going to pay off right now, but it might later on when we see him make a play towards bot side once level 6 is hit and Destiny Gate is available. First back, Sork Boots for Clid, incredible item from Rumble, always has been, as Birdle now going to get his first back through if can't actually let him, and with that wave, kind of has to. And this is where it should get juicy around the map. The first back's now starting to come through, and as levels are gained, I am hoping for some early scuffles, maybe around a Drake. Maybe a gank on that top side once Birdle has his ultimate available. Faker is almost unlocked in this mid lane. And that's when we should be starting to start to see some movement around the map, Valdez.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see both junglers have been kind of passive so far, just farming out both of their own jungles. Trying to get as much of that XP as possible, trying to hit level 6. Not quite going to be reached for either jungler so far, as the mid laners are far enough ahead. Owner is looking at the top lane, potentially. You gotta be careful, especially as Aurelia hits level 6. If you can't burst her down, sometimes she can do ridiculous things on the turnaround, but they're just not gonna commit to that just yet.
Don't really have to. Ruler just being left alone while Life is going into the river for a little bit. BDD backed again. Still has the teleport, so even in case of a play on top side, there is a response possible. Birdle
backing on the ward, and Birdle is sticking around. You could see he was definitely considering it. Owner was nearby, and he decides at the end of the day, we're just not going to go for that play.
And you know he wanted to. You know Birdle wanted to, because if you hit the ultimate there and there was no one, that is at least a forced flash, possibly more. In this scenario, though, doesn't actually know where Owner is. He hasn't been spotted in quite a while, and that means that you need to respect appropriately, because going in there and then getting taken down is what happened to Chovy. And then you're an Aurelio's behind, and that's never a great position to be in. Faker didn't even have to use his ultimate, walking in the general vicinity of this top side, but look at Clid walking by in the lane.
Yeah, you're going to spot this. Of course, Faker did walk over a ward, so very obvious the play up towards the top side. But now we got 3 members of Gen G up on the top side, so Kana's the one that has to be careful. Bottom side has been kind of exactly what you would expect.
Yep.
Life isn't engaging onto the Trundle. Gumayusi's farming with this Q. Nobody's really doing anything, so they're just farming it out for now.
And whereas last time carry, I went for the very aggressive Halo Blades. I think that he made the right call by going for Guardian, recognizing that there shouldn't really be any action on the bot side. When played well, as Owner steals the red buff. Nice little play there. Yeah.
I don't know if Clid saw him go over the wall, actually. He was pulling the Raptors back. And because of that, he was able to just steal it right from under the nose of Clid. So a nice little win going the way of Owner.
It's something.
I feel like it's the first thing we've seen in this game. So.
No, this is just good calculated LCK gameplay, Valdez.
We're just cooking up something nice, you know?
Yeah, you need to take time, you know? Can't just rush a nice dish. You need to give it time to stew.
It's like a good chili, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Gotta let it stew up. Life is up on the top side here. We're maybe looking for a play. If they could get a pick into the Rift Herald, that's obviously a big one. Seems like both teams are aware of this, as no supports are in the bottom lane.
Meanwhile, in bot lane.
Yeah.
Nothing happening there, but a straight-up fight between these teams might be fun.
A little bit of damage done to Carrier, but he is trundled with a Ruby Crystal, so not going to be too easy to take him down, even though he isn't level 6. No Solar Flare for Life either. It's a nice little play moving in as a team, going to clear out the vision. This early game has been so tense and so even between these two teams.
And we might see the payoff here as BDD is going to be able to teleport in with a fresh back, picks up his Sorkpan boots, and he's been holding on to the CP for the entire time, ever since he got that early back faker at the teleport. And now it will get used here, and I think this should be enough. Life also at level 6, so that's a solar flare, as well as the ultimate from Clit available. I don't think you really can walk in here as T1 with a Scatter the Weak available.
Yeah.
Looking like they're going to do it though. Birdle does need to rotate over if they want to make sure that nothing goes awry.
Keria is not level 6. You mentioned the Solar Flare is available, but we're not going to have Subjugate to potentially help burst someone down. You think about Lee Sin, TF, and Jace, that's something they would love to do. And they say, well, we're not really okay to take this one. They see the level 6 on Life. All 4 members of Gen.G are here. And Faker's just running bot. Even though Xayah has, yeah, he's going to stop that idea. Never really going to work unless Xayah was really far down the lane. But Ruler does respond in kind, and a nice little map maneuver from Gen.G using that teleport that was saved to pick up the Rift Herald.
Nicely done. Easy pick up there. And that will be the Herald for Gen.G. Now, I wonder where they're going to use it. With this wave state, it's going to push into Birdle. If he can then set up a play with Clit, do see some pings going down. There's a possibility of them going for an aggressive play, maybe giving over some plates to that Aurelia on top side as well. But with Clit backing, looks like they want to use the pressure elsewhere, maybe throw it down bot side. And then look for a Drake as well. Because we've been hyping up this top side as like this cool, volatile matchup. Nothing has happened at all. It's like
Birdle almost
nothing.
clicked his R one time.
Yeah, but then he didn't, as he shouldn't have. But here we are.
Players are just too smart.
He doesn't even go for the cannon. He doesn't even greed for the cannon, Valdez.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, he's really respecting a lot. And the problem with this is that, yes, you know, they don't have vision on Faker. Owner could be anywhere. Yes, you are in danger. And here it is. The huge stunt gets all 3 of them into the equalizer. What a play! As now Clit is over the wall. That should be 2. He does pick it up. Thankfully for T1, Owner was at least able to pick up the scraps of the Aurelia as they walked straight into that one, and immediately Birdle and Clit just clapped them.
Oh, and that was a really good adjustment from Clit. He read that play. It was relatively, he was already pathing towards mid bot side. His entire jungle was up, but saw the wave that was being stacked there. And Birdle played it as respectfully as he needed to. And that flawless duet was just, whew. Want to see a replay of that one, because that was incredibly clean. Allowed Clit to set up for such a good ultimate. And yes, Birdle did die, but it's still a favorable trade, especially if Gen.G is able to find a nice play with this Rift Herald, pick themselves up some gold, and clinch an early game gold lead. And getting your Rumble ahead makes your team fighting so incredibly oppressive. And you know, Valdez, there is a saying when it comes to these Twisted Fate ults, is the same as a Nocturne. You need to make them count.
Look at this. I mean, it is flawless.
Yeah.
It's perfectly timed. It's perfectly timed. It catches all 3 of them right as they teleport.
That's just beautiful. And then
Says, I think we can go in here. He was right.
I think he can even, if he wants to, they can attempt to leverage more pressure on Owner there, but they don't want to take the risk, which I think is fair. Even with BDD coming in and Dark Harvest proc still being available due to the reasons, like, you don't need to take that risk. But yeah, that flawless duet from Birdle was just poor. However, he might get visited again. Which, honestly...
Oh, no flawless duet. He's open.
It's done. Well, it actually might be, because we joke, but if they go in with 3 men here again, it needs to be a counterplay. And I don't think Gen.G have read this one yet. Keria, I think, standing just outside the vision. But at this point, they should suspect something is up. Can just go for the mid lane turret there, and if they get first turret blood, might still be a good trade.
Birdle is maybe going to be the sacrificial lamb here. Nice stun onto Owner, but will not deny the Q. As this time around, no flash. And no hope of survival. But he already did his job, as the pressure in the mid lane is pretty massive. They're really going to push for this mid-tier 1. Bottom lane as well. Guma was left all alone. And so an extra couple of plates are given over to Ruler at the same time. Gen.G also getting the Cloud Drake is pretty nice, although T1 will also get this turret up in the top side.
And it's still both teams trading incredibly evenly, because yes, the first turret block goes to Gen G, which initially puts them on even footing, but then TWon picks up the plates, all the plates, 10 seconds before the turret actually falls on top side, and picks up the kill on Birdo as well. And this is in line with what we've seen from TWon. They pay so much attention to Kana when he's on this chase. He gets an incredible amount of attention, and even though that first play works out really nicely, this second one doesn't really get answered as well. Yeah, they get the mid lane turret, which in terms of map control is going to feel great, but Faker still stalls very nicely there. Yeah, just there's no amount of outplay that you can find in this situation. Fortunately, it's another huge wave going into the turret, leading to this. It's only one wave, which is honestly okay if you consider the amount of pressure that Birdo has been under, but it does lead to a big lead here for TWon, and it's just how they like to play. Gen G, though, wanting to answer onto Faker.
Uh-oh, now he knows he's in danger. The Zenith Blade is going to miss, and there's no stun, and he says, see you later. I'm getting out of here. And he will easily handle that pressure, as Gen G will be able to take down the turret because of that rotation.
As BDD is just trying to keep his turret alive here. Sidesteps, fairly skill shot. Very nicely done, meaning that now only 5k gold lead. Birdo, though.
Oh, wow. Even committing the subjugate here. Not sure. Maybe a zoning tool, just pushing him away off of that turret. But either way, Birdo will be just fine.
And Ruler just soaking up resources, as he does. And one of the nice things for Gen G is that with this bot side being completely devoid of any action, Ruler has been able to avoid the place where Xayah traditionally doesn't get that much done. Right, like a laning phase, it's okay, but it's very passive. It's relatively subpar. You don't get that much done. Also done for extremely defensive itemization with the plated steel caps here. But one of the powers of Gen G have always been that team fighting, and Xayah is a team fighting champion par excellence. Incredible amount of self-peel, as well as the damage that she can do once she gets an item or two, and is slowly getting close to that. TWon, though, pick up the Herald. It's incredibly even here, right? Because it's not that much action, but every action that does happen gets immediately answered on the other side of the map. But I want to see a 5v5. I don't even think it's necessarily the right call, but I do want it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if T1 will really ever elect to go into that, right?
I don't think they don't.
You're looking at the Fed Rumble. You're looking at you know, so many tools on the side of Gen G. When you're rocking Jace Ezreal, you wanna scale up a bit with that Ezreal. You have a really nice amount of poke, some great pick with the TF and potentially the pillar, but
it's the entire composition of T1 doesn't actually want to commit, right? Like you want a side lane, and you can either side lane or you can set up near an objective and then use your pillar. The kite back that Ezreal provides you, defensive play from the Lee Sin, obviously Kana's poke, to kind of scope out Gen G, get them low, don't allow them to use the hard engage that they have available, and then just play from there. Or if they're, you know, putting people in side lanes, Owner has been consistently looking for plays on Birdo. Faker, obviously, on the Twisted Fate can, as you pointed out, make plays around the entirety of the map. But is that enough pressure from T1? Or is Gen G just going to say, well, that's nice, but now we're just going to go into this Infernal Drake, let's say, as Kana demolishes Birdo. Not a very fun trade for him, because he can't go in, right? Knows what's about to wait for him, and again, it's a cross-map trade, but giving up this inner, at the very least, is painful, and I think we might get a second charge here.
They're trying to... No, they're not going to get it. And so that charge will be used here. And now, well, we have the Destiny used, and they're actually jumping onto life here. That is a big pillar, and now the stopwatch has to be used. The charge comes in. Birdo's trying to go 1v3. Nearly able to pick up Keria, but not quite, as the shock blast from Kana is gigantic to pick up the kill onto Leona. As you can see, Klid, he says, all right, kids, it's time to stop fighting. But already, T1 have bitten off a massive chunk of the arm of Gen G.
Ruler doesn't even get his rep buff, Veldis. That's how unfair it feels to him, because he can't really join this fight, right? He's not in a position to be there, and it is just exactly the type of play that you want to see from T1. They never want to fight on even footing. They're always looking for an angle, always looking to fight when they have more people. This exhaust on Birdo was absolutely huge, because I think otherwise Carry Out might actually die, and that can lead to all sorts of awkward situations. But instead, they blow 2 people up and are out there before Gen G can actually collapse. And Gen G need to be more ready to read these type of plays, because whereas initially they were able to reliably answer, now it feels like T1 is actually pulling them around the map.
All right, this is one way, but again, Kana, he still has Flash. He doesn't even necessarily take that much damage. As okay, Trujat Barrage is going to fly by, potentially trading back. Gen G, you know, if they can ever group up, try to look for picks, try to force 5v5 plays on a dragon or something like that, they would love to put on more pressure with the Ocean Soul points that will be the next Drake in about 3 minutes. So just trying to build up to that really is Gen G at this point, while trying not to bleed too much in the side lanes.
Yeah, glad you pointed out, because that is the one. Saving Grace is a bit dramatic, because it's not like yes, they're 2k gold behind, but they have an amazing teamfight comp. If they find a single engage or a flawless duet, a scatter, they're back in the game, and that they can easily take up objective after objective. But right now, the pressure of that possible soul point in 2.5 minutes is what I imagine Gen G is worrying about. Like, can we keep enough control of the map? Can we not bleed more turrets, which is why Ruler is so steadfastly defending this inner, or this outer turret in the mid lane rather, as a lot of these have been thrown from Guma, and they do hurt with him on 2 items.
Yeah.
Because if they give up too much, then contesting the Drakes doesn't become a possibility anymore, and that's one of your most reliable forms of counter pressure as Gen G, as T1 is going to make these plays across the entirety of the map. As this is a collapse that they want to look for.
Yeah, the pillar is so effective, though. I mean, this is one thing that Trundle really, he finally found his moment. He's like, okay, so good at disengage, can potentially look for picks with that one simple ability, and works well with all the poke that they have. You even have the dragon kick for the disengage as well. If you're looking for that, you can put up pillars, you can siege really well with that. Just really love the comp that they've built, and the macro so far from T1 has been pretty stellar. They've even got Faker in the side lane just freely taking down turrets. Ruler's not able to do much except clear the wave, of course. So things are really looking up here for T1 as long as they can keep this amount of pressure up. I wouldn't say the style of play that they're playing is easy or simple to pull off, but so far they've been making it look easy.
And it is exactly the type of play that I think we've wanted to see from T1 for quite a while, because they've been drafting these comps for what feels like ever since spring. But the execution very often was not quite there, and it is still a tough balancing act, but right now they're making it work early on. In a minute, the Drake will spawn, and that's a big scatter!
There it is! BDD comes up huge with the scatter, and there is just the follow-up over the wall as T1 runs straight into it, and BDD knocks down the entire team like bowling pins. So now what are you going to do as Gen G? They're looking to maneuver over to the Baron.
Oh! I don't know if they can do this, Valdez. But if they can, it's so big. Kana is there, though, has his 2-item spike. Incredibly fat, can go for the shock blasts.
Yeah, I think they have enough damage on this one. And yes, Faker and Kana will threaten it. Kana maybe even looking for the steal. He snuck around the backside, and well, okay, that's not the steal. That's going to be the simple smite, of course, from Klid, and that is a huge objective already, 22 minutes into the game.
And Faker just doing his best to try and stall out these backs, but with empowered recalls, not really going to happen. Yes, they give up a single Drake, as I don't know if they can contest even with the teleport available on BDD, but you don't really care. As Gen G, that was an incredibly important fight, and we haven't finished our sentence yet. It's a bad caster curse if I've ever seen one, because here we're talking about how it's a balancing act and how they're making it work, and then BDD finds just the sickest scatter, and then the follow-up is there, right? Birdo immediately jumps in, doesn't care about the teleport. Klid has his equalizer ready, flame spits, barbecues trolls, carry out a troll down as well, And now all of a sudden, it is Genji who swung back to gold lead and should be able to pick up a ton of outer turrets here. And that is going to make T1's life a lot harder.
Yeah, it's definitely a gigantic swing, and you can see the power of Genji's comp if you can just force an engage and pick someone off like that. You know, maybe even regardless of the comps, if Syndra's able to get that big of a scatter, like, and the game is easy enough, you're probably going to win the fight. Like, let's be real. BDD with just really a highlight play, and that gets them into a really great spot. We'll see what they can get with this Baron power play, as with the Infernal on top of it. You can feel the scaling weighing down on this game.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it BDD on a Syndra that demolished in the spring finals as well?
Yeah.
It was like, it was,
yeah.
it was exactly the same situation, right?
Having
But
flashbacks.
ooh, but for T1,
Look at this.
if they can get on top of Ruler, if they can blow someone up or catch someone like BDD who is off on his own pushing there in a rotation, then they're still completely fine. The wave clear is also great with the amount of range they have available. And we can see that, yes, this was a nice pickup of the Baron, but what have Genji actually gotten? And the answer is not a whole lot. Some damage left and right, but I think Genji are very scared of throwing this game away. And that means that while the Baron could have been a game-breaking moment for T1, it's clearly not.
Yeah, seems fine for now. They're just able to defend pretty easily. They get the one Ocean Drake, of course. I feel like the Baron is definitely going to catch everybody up on the side of Genji that may have fallen behind on XP. A nice amount of pick going out onto Life here as the follow-up and the true shot barrage, and everything's being thrown at him. And the kitchen sink. Here comes Owner. Looking for it, maybe. Not going to go for it, but look at the damage coming out of Kana. This is why you ban Wukong on blue side, you pick it for him, and then you play around him because he can do stuff like this, and there doesn't seem to be much counterplay when you're just running away.
And that's such a good way to regain control of this game as T1, because now you're able to go into the enemy jungle, clear out their camps, set up vision, and while the Drake is still a fair bit away, so you're not going to immediately benefit from this in a direct sense. If you're able to spend the blue affair, you're happy, but not going to be able to do so. But it shows what you can do as T1 when you're the one actually setting the pace, right? Because that is Live getting caught by, I think it started out with the Everfrost from Faker, might have been the gold card into the Everfrost, and then...
It was over the wall.
More and more.
Let's see.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just over the
Yep.
wall.
It's a really nice rapid fire cannon. I think it's already finished.
Yeah, no, it is.
Gives him the,
He almost has Rabadons. Like, Faker's pretty fed in this one.
As the heal does come through that. And yeah, you can't chase that far. But you do pick up a turret. And considering the turn that they were able to find there is actually really impressive from T1. And it keeps this game as even as before. Now Edge of Night also done for Kana. Not really the need to pick up a Serpent's Fang that we've often seen. Third on the Jaces as well. And this is still a very tense game. Soul point for Genji would be huge. Would mean that that possible sideline pressure that T1 have in spades can be mitigated to a certain extent. But T1 gonna take priority or on mid lane, gonna just shove in. I do worry because this is looking like a possible collapse opportunity for Genji, but then they do need to be ready. Damn, Bertle.
Right, we're going to find Bertle. He just runs in there, and he's got stopwatch. He says, okay, guys, I'm beating him. And now, with the exhaust used onto him, we'll see what the follow-up looks like. It doesn't look like much, as BDD only gets in here, and now we got something going for Genji. Faker gonna have to flash, as Ruler just takes him down. Even Gale forces forward to make sure. As BDD, the second he arrived, T1 were like, oh. We gotta back out of this one.
Oh, that was such a nice bait from Genji. Bertle going in, using the stopwatch to force T1 to actually engage, buying time for the rest of his team, then BDD hitting another amazing scatter, and then the presence of mind of Ruler to already start auto-attacking over the wall, so he has a feather there, so the moment that Faker goes over, he can pull back and instantly blow him up. That's going to be the soul point coming through now here for Genji. And this is still such a tense game. But this is exactly what I wanted out of a game one between these two teams.
Yeah,
perfect.
This is the way it's supposed to go.
Yes. Oh my god.
No quick 2-0s in this house.
Well, let's not. I don't. Let's not
Cast
curse
a
the
curse, by
show.
the way.
Yeah. Because initially this looks fairly questionable, but then the damage that comes through, combined with the fact that Bertle still is exhausted and is able to reposition really nicely, is amazing. And then BDD wasn't there for the start of the fight, then hits that, and look at the Uldar from Ruler here.
Yep.
He knows. Oh, excuse me. He knows what is about to happen, able to play accordingly, and now so point for Gen G, but T1's comp. It's still only a single accelerated shock blast away from blowing up half the health bars of anyone on Gen G.
Yeah, this is pretty ridiculous, the amount of damage they can do. And it was interesting to see T1 just, with the dragon about to spawn, they're like, we're not going to fight you at the dragon. We want you to come to us. But they also, okay, well, we're going to see a lot of stuff used here. They do get the flash out of Keria, which is all right, but at the end of the day, Trundle's not going to be making some big flash plays unless he's able to pillar and maybe get a flash out of someone else. But either way, some maneuvers there. But yeah, it was really interesting to see T1 kind of say, come at us, bro, in the mid lane, right? And say, okay, we're ready to 5v5 fight. As Bertle looking to take this trade, actually, as in he goes. Not going to land the stun, but he still gets the kill as the teleport comes in, and he easily flashes away from that one. Faker not able to follow up.
And this is exactly the type of play you cannot afford as Kana, because this gives up so much control over to Gen G. It's 40 seconds in which they can move around the map, set up some Baron vision, and even if they don't actively go for the Baron, it is a great way to try and bait T1 into making mistakes, right? If T1 goes for an aggressive face check, if they want to try and maintain, make sure that Gen G don't sneak another Baron like they did earlier. And
There
Gen
we go.
G just going to start it up. Teleport available for Bertle.
Yeah, Keria just Hex Flash over the wall. That is insane amount of value out of that True Shot Barrage, as Clid is incredibly low. And look at that pillar! Once again, in comes Keria. Will Owner knock it down? He cannot, as I think they saw Owner over the top of the wall. But it is still going to be enough to force them back, as the pillars have just been insane, as now Life has to go forward. As the follow-up here from BDD is pretty big, actually. Able to get the kill onto the Trundle and turns it into a one-for-one.
Support trade, so in the end, neither team really able to pick up the objective, but there we do see the power of T1's comp when it comes to Gen G knowingly going for an objective. If Gen G can sneak it, Baron is half health before you there as T1, not that much you can do about it, but with the insane amount of range damage available, it is really hard for Gen G to knowingly get that objective. And I honestly thought, like, Life, what's going on here is... Take a look at this.
Okay.
He says he has no flash. As
That's just the confidence in your teammate as Life there, because you know when you go for that play, if BD doesn't the scatter, you just sprint it,
Yeah.
right? Like you just die.
he knows that he's either caught and he's trading 1 for 0, or 0 for 1, I
Yeah.
guess, or I hope someone helps me. Like,
BDD, please help me. And
Yeah.
BDD does. And I know Syndra's not the most exciting. Oh, Ruler, no, that's not a good spot for you.
yeah.
Careful now.
I like how he handles it, though. It's like, okay, well, if I just run straight into the pillar, it's not going to look good, but if I move forward and threaten, I've got Gale Force, ult, and flash and heal.
And the best item in the game. He's
True,
ready.
stopwatch. Yeah, he's ready to go for his own bait.
You have taught me well, Veldas. I've gotten really good at stopwatch checks.
Stopwatches are good. And he's the only one with actually just a available stopwatch. There is Zonya's right now for BDD. As Bertle is really aggressive with his positioning. T1, I think they've learned that, okay, we can't really dive into them. We have to poke them out. And they have position on the Drake right now, but the Baron is available. So we're going to have a bit of a dance now around the mid lane. And I would imagine as long as nobody gets caught on the side of T1, this should favor them, as here's the attempted catch. Life goes in, but it's responded to really well. And look at the poke coming in as the kick is on BDD. Owner will trade his life potentially, as he's even still alive. As the kick is huge, and now Bertle goes forward, but he has an exhaust on him. And now it's 4 members on top of the Aurelia. He's trying to trade one back, but he can't do that Even Keria is able to survive as they will run at the Ocean Drake.
And it was a bait all along, Valdez, as that Zenith Blade, yes, you take it. But it doesn't feel good because a really nicely timed Fashion Flaker drags life all the way.
Boy.
Oh, that's greedy.
And TWon are running down the mid lane towards the Baron.
No, they're not able to. Oh, it's so good, though, because if TWon go for the inhibitor, you get Baron. And they don't know that you're down. And you have vision available. Clear as his equalizer up again. Still, this is a really high-risk play, because as Gen G, if you die here, you might have to give it up.
Yeah, Ruler's on vision now. As, okay, they're going to spot him now with the True Shot Barrage as, let's see it. Nope, it's going to be taken by Ezreal, of course. Nicely done, Gumayusi was able to last hit that one. But let's take another look at this fight.
And yeah, that flash from Faker is insane, because that turns what could have been a really nice catch onto a TF into an insane play. And then simultaneously, Owner hits an incredible kick on BDD, who's been basically untouchable the entire game. Is that really crisp positioning? So those two key plays turn a possible turn from Gen G, the fight that they're so desperately looking for to secure a soul point, into
going for it.
나 살아.
I'm
나 봐줘.
alive. Gets it done. And yeah, I mean, BDD had flash. I think it just all happened so fast.
Yeah, and as Gen G, you're also looking like, how can we actually help Life? Like, Life is very deep. We want to engage. We want to do something. Not able to do so, and now TWon still firmly in the lead. But as we've seen in all these fights, this gold lead not big enough to be relevant for either team. It's all about the execution. Can Gen G actually get onto the back line, or can they somehow enable Ruler? Can BDD find a big scatter, or is TWon going to abuse their superior range and make it basically impossible to fight for Gen G? Every single time Ruler tries to go for play, he gets promptly exhausted. Keria throws a chomp on him as well. That's negative damage that you're going to be doing as Aurelia.
Yeah, definitely feels good. As Keria. It's like, you know, it's like next level Braum, right? Exhaust Braum. You sit there, you put up your wall. Doesn't quite do the exact same thing, but it's a similar idea. Myrtle's got an interesting angle as he's going to get stunned down and able to go into that W, but it still doesn't matter. And I think TWon are slowly getting in there. That's the big kick, but it's only onto Life, and into the GA goes the Lee Sin. As the follow-up here from Guma, and the rest of the team is just too big. Another big shock blast into the back line. As T1 will push and look to end this game. Another big pillar onto Ruler as finally he uses that ultimate. And they will just have to flash away. T1 will not back down from this as they will look to take game number 1 in about 36 minutes. Let's see what BDD and Ruler can do, if anything. No ult available for either of them, so they will just go down, and that will be the end of that. 36.5 minutes. Big smile on Faker's face. I think you can be happy with that game as T1 and as a fan. Very clean.